Let's be real for a second. For a lot of us, just the idea of a shark fin cutting through the water, it brings up this deep primal fear, right? It's an image that movies and myths have burned into our brains. But how much of that fear is actually based in reality? Well, we're going to dive in and separate the facts from the Hollywood fiction. And that brings us to the big question, the one at the heart of this whole thing. Are sharks these calculating man-eaters we see on screen? Or is there something else going on? Could they just be misunderstood predators, navigating a world that we're sharing with them more and more? To really get to the truth, we have to completely flip our perspective. We need to try and see the ocean from a shark's point of view. Only then can we start to understand what's actually motivating them. And here it is, maybe the single most important fact to get us started. The big sharks we hear about, great whites, tigers, bulls, they simply do not hunt humans. Seriously, we are not on the menu. So if they aren't actually trying to eat us, then why do these attacks happen at all? Well, the number one reason, far and away, is just a tragic, simple case of mistaken identity. See, a shark's senses are fine-tuned to find their specific food. And sometimes, from their angle, we just look an awful lot like what they are hunting. And this is so important to visualize. Just imagine you're a great white, deep in the water, looking up at that bright, shimmering surface. You don't see a person with arms and legs. You see a silhouette, a shape that looks almost exactly like your normal go-to meal, a nice, fatty seal. And when you see it side by side, the contrast is just, wow. What the shark perceives is this dark, flipper-like shape that basically screams lunch. But what's really there is a person on a surfboard, just waiting for a wave. The shark makes an instinctive, split-second decision based purely on that shape. But okay, mistaken identity isn't the whole story. There's a second major factor that comes into play, and it's pure, simple curiosity. Sharks are actually really intelligent, inquisitive animals. So here's the thing you have to remember. If a shark wants to figure out what something is, it can't exactly poke it or pick it up to get a better look. So it does what's called an exploratory or a test bite. It's not trying to eat you, but let's be honest, with their power, even a single "I'm just curious" bite can be absolutely devastating. So we've got the shark's motivation down, right? But the environment, the water itself, plays a huge role too. There are certain conditions that can dramatically increase the odds of that tragic confusion happening in the first place. Think of these three things as the perfect recipe for a bad encounter. First, murky water. Poor visibility makes it way harder for a shark to tell what you are. Then you've got dawn and dusk. That's their prime time for hunting. And finally, tons of splashing. Well, that sends a universal signal in the ocean that says something is struggling and injured, which sounds like an easy meal. Okay, so now that we get the why, let's talk about the how. This isn't about making you afraid of the ocean. It's about making you smart in the ocean. So here's your clear, simple playbook for staying safe. Your safety plan starts before your toes even touch the water. First, stay out of the water during their main hunting times, dawn and dusk. Easy enough. Second, if you can't see your own feet, the visibility is too low for you and for them. And third, that shiny watch or necklace, to a predator, the flash can look just like the scales of a fish. Best to leave it on the shore. Now, once you're actually in the water, the rules are just as straightforward. Sharks are ambush predators, and they almost always go for individuals who are alone, so the buddy system is your absolute best friend. Try to swim smoothly, not erratically, and if you see people fishing nearby, swim somewhere else. That's like ringing the dinner bell and then hanging around to see who shows up. Okay, but what if you do see one? Your every instinct is going to scream panic, but that is the absolute worst thing you can do. Thrashing around just makes you look exactly like that injured prey we talked about. So rule one is stay calm. Keep your eyes on the shark. Let it know that you see it. Predators rely on surprise. Then, just slowly, without turning your back, move away. All right, now for the absolute worst case. And I mean rarest of scenarios, where a shark actually gets aggressive with you. Do not play dead. You need to fight back. You want to make it clear you are not easy prey. Aim for the most sensitive spots you can, the eyes and the gills. Use firm, deliberate hits. You need to show that shark you are not worth the trouble. We've covered the why, we've covered the how, but let's end this with what is arguably the most important part of this whole conversation, putting the actual, real-world risk into perspective. After everything we've talked about, this is the fundamental truth you need to walk away with. Despite the massive fear they inspire, actual, unprovoked shark attacks are incredibly, statistically, almost unbelievably rare. I mean, let's put a number on it. More than 99.999% of the time someone gets in the ocean, they get out having had zero negative encounters with a shark. The odds are just overwhelmingly, massively in your favor. In fact, you face way bigger risks every single day doing things you probably don't think twice about. We accept all these little risks as just part of life, but for some reason, our fear of sharks is just completely out of proportion to the actual danger. So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. Knowledge really is power. It has the ability to replace that irrational fear with a healthy, informed respect. Now that you understand the playbook, both the sharks and your own, has it changed how you see the ocean's most iconic predator?